Welcome to the Speak and Flow podcast. Today, I have an amazing expert who helps professionals with a growth-minded perspective that has overwhelm and stress to bring more joy into their lives. It's Linda Shively. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Melinda.
Yay! You are a special friend. You're doing so many things. You have been on Wall Street Journal. You're a best-selling author. You're an award-winning speaker all over the nation, globally. You're a neuroscience expert, mindset expert, and you help people bring joy into their life. You've been on television shows, and so I'm so glad you're here today to share your expertise with us.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Before we go into what joy means and how this can help people bring abundance, help people really improve their health of their lives, I know you have a personal story of how you have gotten here. And so would you mind sharing that with the audience?
Back in 2005, I had to make a difficult decision. I had to decide how to get out of an abusive marriage with my severely handicapped 3-year-old daughter, Jessica. Jessica, bright-eyed, happy little girl who loved to go to preschool, loved to read, loved her toys and stickers and her animated eyes. I cannot move my eyebrows like she can move her eyebrows. And she brought me so much joy. She also had a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, which affected her ability to crawl, walk, swallow, and breathe. And with the strength of her little index finger, she would zoom around in a power chair to get wherever she wanted to go and express herself with her communication device.
Wow.
And in contrast, my marriage kept me on high alert.
Yeah.
I was always feeling like I was walking on eggshells. I never knew, I thought I would do the right thing and I'd still get yelled at. Everything was just on edge. And it wasn't a healthy environment for me. It wasn't a healthy environment for her. And I didn't know how to get out. I was like, what do I do? I mean, this kid needs everything. And after a lot of planning, I figured out how to attempt to make that happen, and took her to preschool one Tuesday. When she got home, I looked at her nurse and I said, you pack all of her medical equipment. I'm going to pack all her clothes and her toys. And as soon as Jessica wakes up from her nap, we're going to escape. And we had this flurry of activity. And as soon as Jessica woke up, we left. And exactly 2 weeks after that, I held Jessica in my arms as she took her last breath and died. And I was so devastated. What remained, though, was a numbness, and that numbness lasted for years. But I realized that Jessica's joy was still inside me. And somehow I had to figure out how to get it back. And somehow had to be able to transform everything that had happened. And that joy is really the essence of everything. And once I was able to tap back into it, I've been able to share it with other people and even write a book about it called Getting to Joy.
Yes.
Because it's not easy to have happiness after something like that happens in your life. And so that's how joy continues to be a part of my life. And that's how I continue to keep Jessica sharing her joy with other people.
Oh, that is so beautiful. How special is that? Like, she's here. She may be physically not here, but her joy is present with us. And this also brings me back to my mom, who had passed away in 2016. It's like, I love that you were able to carry her legacy on for many years after that, and then now spread it to others. And so with that, horrific experience that transformed you, that changed you, now you're helping others with so many with this inspiration, with this process. Like, so tell me about what joy, having gone through that, what joy means to you, and why is it important for people?
Well, I think we as a culture have this idea of, oh, let's just be happy, everything is
Yeah.
happy, and plaster on the smile and like fake it till you make it.
Right.
Yet that
Mm.
happiness is often external. Like,
Mhm.
oh, when this happened, like when I get the job, or when I meet the person, or when this event happens, then I can be happy.
Mhm.
But that doesn't, we're out of control with that. And so to take ownership of it and actually internalize it, that is the joy. That
Mhm.
the joy kind of comes from within. And I
Mhm.
talk about true joy, like that essence of who we are,
Mhm.
that's deeper than that superficial level of like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling joyful, but no, like really, and it can combine with the hard things in life. So you can
Mhm.
still have the joy even if something bad happens.
I mean, kind of have to, right? I mean, because
Yeah,
we're in life is hard. And
right.
whether it's a small thing such as someone just cut us off on the road or something big traumatic just happened, you're talking about still having true joy in the midst of all of the challenges that we face. And what does that feel like?
Well, sometimes it can be difficult, and sometimes we can forget that. And there are all sorts of obstacles that can come up. And
Mhm.
I've kind of coined terms for them, and I call them
Okay.
my joy stealing dragons.
Right.
And because we find ways to get in our own way, to
Love it.
keep the joy from being present.
Uh-huh.
And then there are ways to navigate and tame those dragons so that you can deal with them. But
Are there key ones that take away our joy?
well, the ones that I talk about are second guessing Sally, who like makes you second guess every decision that you have. No good Nancy, who makes you believe that you're not good enough, and no matter what you do, it's like, oh, no, you can't do it. And even if you do it right, you could have done it better. And and just that constant negativity.
Uh-huh.
And then the perfectionist, perfect Paula, who wants everything to happen exactly the right way. And if it doesn't happen, then forget it. And judging Jenny, who is like judging you, judging other people, and that constant criticism or comparing, and feeling like, well, they can have everything, but I can't have everything, and
Right.
it doesn't work well. And then, oh, overwhelmed Ophelia.
Mm.
I just she wants you to have your schedule packed and your to-do list that's like a mile long, and you can never get everything done. And that need to feel busy that so many people have, like, oh, I'm busy, like it's a badge of honor, like, oh, I'm so special because I'm busy. And
Yeah,
and all of those work against us.
totally.
And figuring out, like, well, what do you do about it to not have them be in control, and actually figure out how to control, you know how to manage them.
Right. Before we go into how to manage
Yeah,
them, how have you seen if people don't manage it and it just keeps on going, what usually ends up happening? If their joy is taken, what other, yeah, symptoms?
I mean, their joy is taken. They tend to find problems wherever they look. They're not feeling resourceful. They don't have ways to, maybe they're struggling financially and they can't see ways to get out of it. Or
Right.
maybe their relationships aren't working the way that they want them to, or they're not taking care of their health or themselves. And so it's like, whether eating poorly, not exercising, all of the things that we do to sabotage. Oh, I'll just have that extra donut, or I'll just stay up really late and not get the sleep I need. And it becomes a vicious cycle.
Wow. I can see how just having, just understanding, the pure understanding of those joy stealing dragons, I could see I've had that. I felt that before. I felt the judging. I felt the perfectionism, but just knowing those and having just being more aware is so powerful.
Yeah, because the awareness is the first step. Like
Right.
if you don't have any awareness of it, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And then you'll keep going. You're like, why am I eating another donut? And why am I keep on, doing the self-sabotage?
Yeah. Why do I keep arguing with this person? And
Right.
why do we keep having the same discussion? It's like, and how
Doing
to
the same
break that
problem.
cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it brings me back to a moment that you did help me. You helped me with some things, and it was very helpful to be able to overcome. I had a bad habit. I didn't want to drink as much. I was wanting to cut down on my drinking.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
help me to see the pattern, and it does help, right? To see when am I going into spiraling into some negativity, some perfectionism, and then the overwhelm of feeling that I needed to be perfect all the time, created this, okay, I need to just relax. Okay, it's just a weekend. Let me drink another, have another drink or another glass. And now it's like, I didn't need to do that. I feel so much more balanced. I feel I have connected back to the joy. And so it's really helpful. It was really helpful to get my life back. And I
That's
feel more energized.
That's great.
Mhm.
I thank you for sharing that, because yeah,
Yeah.
it's like once you're not at the effect of everything that's happening and you're taking that ownership of, it's like, oh, well, I can control this. I
Mhm.
can be at cause for what it is that's happening in my life. And, it's not to say that you can't relax and enjoy some wine or whatever, but
Right.
it's not that you have to.
Right. Yes. Yes. And to get help when I needed it. I said,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
exactly.
help.
I
It's
mean, oh
okay.
my goodness. It's like recognizing that, like, I can't do it on my own. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, Linda, you figured this all out on your own. I was like, really? No. I
No.
needed a lot of help to get to where
Yeah.
I am today.
Just having the accountability on things like this, right? And
Yeah.
so what are the strategies that you can share, or techniques that you can share to help the audience?
Well, one of the first one is to live a better story. And what do I mean by that? Is our story, a story has meaning,
Mhm.
and the meaning is what we make it.
Mhm.
And so often in our like an event happens, but what do we define that event to mean in our life? And sometimes it's, we make it mean something awful, or sometimes we make it mean something amazing. It's like, okay, for example, somebody loses a job. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing?
Right.
Is it, somebody breaks their leg? Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? It's part of it may be good, part of it may be bad. It's like, okay, if you're going constantly and you never take a break, and then, our body sometimes makes us sick. And then when we have that opportunity, we actually get rest.
Mhm.
And so it's like there isn't, but how you tell your story, and like how I tell my story, I used to let my story tell me and kind of get sucked into the victim part of it.
Mhm.
And now I tell my story in an empowered way.
Right.
And everyone has that opportunity. You get to define your story. You get to tell it and live it the way you want it to be.
Mhm.
And as you do that, things start to change,
Mhm.
and not to be at the mercy of it. The next one is to tell time what to do.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is not to just be, you know, subject to your schedule and figuring, it's like, oh, I don't need to do that now. I'll get to it later. And then, decisions that you're like, oh, I'll put off that decision. It could be putting off a decision. I don't know, like maybe your roof is leaking and you're like, I'll deal with it later. And then there's a huge storm that comes and the roof caves in, and that is like your way of making that decision that, okay, I really now have to deal with the roof.
Mhm.
instead of doing it preventatively.
Mhm.
Or, as women, sometimes people are like, well, I'll wait to have kids. And then time makes the decision of like, well, biological clock stops ticking, and, that isn't an option in that way.
Mhm.
And being empowered with how you use your time, so that if you're saying, oh, well, I never have time to do what is most important. Well, who's making that decision for you? And what can you do differently to look at it? Because maybe there is something you can take out. Maybe you're spending time doing something that is a waste, and or maybe everything is important. Well, really,
Mhm.
how do you prioritize? And
Mhm.
then choose your voices. Like, we have all the external voices around us that are saying, oh, Melinda, you need to do this, or you need to do that. And, oh, pay attention to me over here. And then we have these voices in our head.
Mhm.
Shh, nobody likes to talk about the voices in your head, but we all have them. And depending on how loud they are, or they might not even be yours. They
Yeah.
might be like a parent, they
Yeah.
might be a teacher from like grade school, maybe a class bully, like they might not be the nice voices that are stuck there.
Mhm.
And not to say that your parents aren't nice, but but if you have somebody that was negative in your life,
Mhm.
that's just like, oh, you need to do this, and that doesn't help. And so
Mhm.
you get to choose which voices to listen to,
Mhm.
and how much time to spend on them, and change the narrative.
Mhm.
We tend to be so hard on ourselves.
Mhm.
And what would it be like if we actually talked to ourselves the way we talk to a beloved friend, a beloved intimate partner, a child?
Mhm.
We're going to talk in a more caring manner.
Mhm.
What would that be like if you did that for yourself?
Right. I'm thinking about that right now.
And it's like, when was the last time I said that? It's like, so just being aware that you have choices in the voices that you literally, are listening to, or the ones that are spinning around in your head, and even how you speak, so it's like shifting those things can help significantly with
Yeah, I could see
guidance.
how each piece builds upon each other, right? Like, listening and understanding first of your stories. How do you see those experiences, and what story are you playing in your head about those experiences? And then I love how you're bringing in time in, because time is confined. We only have a certain amount of, and so I love that you're bringing joy. How do you bring joy? Because we don't have that much time. So with everything that you do, I don't think people really think through each of their actions, and does it bring them joy?
Right.
Like, I don't think that they're just, probably sometimes they're just surviving.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
so really being intentional about bringing in the activities that we only have a certain amount, 24 hours to do of time, and bringing those activities to fill in and bring you joy.
Right. And it
Finally, I
doesn't,
can see how this all translates into our work and into our thoughts, into, like, people are telling us to do things, and we also have our own thoughts. But then if we're really intentional about what brings us joy, we can start to communicate, express in a way that is more positive, versus everybody's telling me to do this and I'm negative. And is that how that goes?
yeah, exactly.
Similar. I mean, very basic, but
I mean, at a very high level.
high
Yeah.
level, high
Yeah.
level, high
Yeah.
level. That's amazing. Right. And I love how you mentioned, are we talking to ourselves like we would talk to our kid, our child?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
don't think I do that.
you're not alone.
I don't think I do that. That's great. And so, yeah, were you gonna say something?
Well, I was just going to say, being intentional,
Yeah.
we get to choose how we show up and what we
Okay.
think about. And we think, oh, but I can't choose that. It's just happening. Well, Start being aware of what you can make a choice. I mean, you gave the example for yourself. It's like, how do you choose to relax? How do you choose to show up in the world, and what a difference that choice makes?
Yeah. What do you think out of this whole, this high level process that you walk your clients through? What do you think is the most challenging for clients?
Realizing that just because you make a change at one point
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's forever. It can be that shift, so the paradigm shifts so that you never go back to the way you thought before, yet it continues to take practice.
Mhm.
It's just like every day we get hungry and we need to eat.
Mhm.
Every day we need to be intentional about how we're living. So it's not like you can just forget to pay attention to life and have everything work the way you want it to. You
Right.
still need to put in that intention.
And this is where all of your tools in your toolkit, your NLP, neuroscience, yoga practitioner, laughter yoga practitioner, all of your tools, you're bringing them on. Like, okay, what problem, what obstacle are you facing? And then you bring them on to help and support your clients.
Exactly.
Yes, I can see that. I mean, it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a transformational journey.
Yeah.
And so can you share clients test a story where she's one way and then working with you has helped her to bring more joy into her
Yeah.
life?
Well, so I have a client who, she came to me at a place in her life where she'd lost a spouse, she
Mhm.
was a caregiver and had been for years. And so everything was focused about everyone else. And
Mhm.
she'd basically forgotten herself.
Mm.
And as we've worked together, she's recognized like how to retell that story and live it in a better way. And so that, and manage her time in a way that works for her. And letting go of some of the negativity that had been there so that she can enjoy her life. And now she's vibrant and healthy and thoroughly enjoying who she is. She's figured out who she is and is really loving it and being able to make decisions for her career and make decisions about relationships. And all of that has been part of the work that we've done together. And it's just amazing to witness
Yes.
and see that shift and that joy that comes from within, that other people are starting to notice and react to.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so beautiful. I mean, how many of us either are giving away ourselves to work or to family, to other relationships, and connecting back to ourselves again to find the joy and how we want to live and decide that for ourselves. And so congratulations to you and to her.
Yeah.
That brings me joy to listen to that story. That's inspirational. Oh my goodness. And so what do you have going on? How would clients or how would people get to know you or if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
Well, so what we were talking about earlier about the joy stealing dragons, I have a quiz that you can take to
Okay.
find out like which of those dragons is most active in your life right now, today, and what to do about it. Some specific tips that you can use to do that. And that you can find at joystealingdragons.com. And if you want more information about me, you can go to lindashively.com. And there are events that are coming up. As I have a retreat coming up in September, which it's a fabulous way to get away from everyday life and reconnect to yourself and be in the community and have an incredible restart to your life. And I do those throughout the year. So if whenever you're listening to this, if it happens to, check and see when my next one is.
Yeah. If you're in the middle of overwhelm and stress, like this is the retreat to go to really, I mean, I've seen some of the testimonials it's pure magic.
It
You
is.
will be there. It's pure just magic. And it's important that we give ourselves this. And so that we could be for others.
Right.
We're
Exactly.
going to break down. And so I really appreciate, thanks for sharing the assessment. I think that I'm going to take that too, because I feel like I have all four.
Yeah. And then
Which
if
one's the one
if you
focus?
want help figuring out like, well, now what do I do now that I know that this dragon, we'll have
Yeah.
a conversation about that. So
Right. And so I really appreciate that. What is some advice or one key advice that you would give leaders who may be struggling with their voice? What is an advice that you can give to help them unleash that voice inside?
when you connect to yourself
Mhm,
and your joy,
mhm,
then you have that base that then you can share it with others.
mhm,
And even in a corporate setting, you can still have joy. You can still, people react to how you are being. And so if you can connect to that positivity within yourself and knowing and showing up as you are, then others have the permission to show up as they are. And
right.
it's powerful.
It's so powerful because I know corporate people are overworked, they're tired, they're overwhelmed, and you could be that person, that inspiration of joy that they see, and then therefore you become someone that they want to talk to, someone they want to work with, someone that has more opportunities.
Exactly. Because people talk about they stay at jobs for the people and they leave jobs because of the people.
Yeah.
And so being the best version of yourself
Mhm.
can help everyone at the
Mhm,
company.
Right. I love that. Thank you, Linda. Thanks for all you do and your experiences and all the work that you put into to create this amazing business that not just a business, but it really does support people to bring more joy into their lives and to the community and to help make more positive difference in the world. And really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Melinda.
You're welcome. We'll do it again. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.